Welcome to such a special episode of Euphoric, the podcast, because I'm sitting across from such a special lady, someone who's been behind the scenes in my life for a little over half a year now. Just such an instrumental woman, my personal coach. I can't wait to introduce you to Stephanie Ann Swale. And I would love to hear from her, Stephanie, not only how are you doing today, but give the audience a little sneak peek into who you are, what you do, what you care about, just like the quick, like Cliff Notes version, and then we'll dive straight into your story.
Thank you for bringing me here on this podcast and bringing me into your world in another way. And I think your podcast is just incredible, and I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to support you in the work that you're doing and be able to share my magic with your audience and just tell a really incredible story. So, for those of you who have no idea who I am, welcome to. Okay, we need to start that over.
We're good. We have an editor, so he can edit this
Okay,
out.
edit this part out. All right. I'm like, wait, it's not my podcast. Welcome. All right. So I'm Stephanie Ann Swale, and I'm a business mentor who helps women take their God-given gifts and create an absolute empire of impact with it. And I am a woman who is here to really help women rise into leaders and create a business through what I call high-level sales and high-impact leadership. And this is all about all of us here uniting together and doing something with the gifts that we have to change the world, to create tidal waves of impact and change, and to really pursue, in my opinion, the only path worth pursuing. And that is my work. And I get to support incredible humans and leaders in this world like yourself, and probably all of you listening here, to really the answer to all of it is to go all in on the thing that you came here to do. And whether you're not quite there yet or you don't know what it is yet, it's really, really leading with this place of curiosity and really tuning into what is it that and how is it that you want to be in service, and to follow that. Because when you follow service, when you follow the gifts and the things that you were brought here to do, like, you can never go wrong.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait for this conversation. We clearly have so much like values in common, I believe, because, a lot of people get into this for the significance or the fame or the money or the freedom and all of those things I love. But something that I've always really appreciated about you is the impact level, the service level, the level of fulfillment we feel in our hearts, knowing that we are sharing our God-given gifts with the world and it's helping other people. And that really becomes the bigger why into everything we do, because there's a point in the day where the money isn't the motivator anymore, and it's not enough to get you out of the bed to do the hard things, which is really really important to say. So I want to like go over all of this. I think the high level selling is so cool for the entrepreneurs listening, and especially the leadership it takes to really be an entrepreneur and lead your life and lead with purpose. But before we even get into that, I am so curious about your backstory. I know some of it, but I can't even wait right now to just hear more of it, because what I find so interesting, and this is not my story, by the way, but what I find so interesting is so many of the top female entrepreneurs that I really respect and admire have these really alternative lifestyles that kind of brought them into that place. And a lot of them were travelers or digital nomads or just people who went the alternative path, especially after they graduated like college. I didn't have that experience. I was in like a 10-year employment situation, but I think it's really cool to see that adventure in your life well before you ever created the brand and the business that you have today. So I would love to go way, way back, like back after you graduated college. What were you deciding to do with your life, and how did you, become to where you are today?
Yeah. So when I graduated in psychology. And right off the bat, that was the only thing that I knew in university that I loved. Everything else, I'm like, boring, boring, boring. So I went into psychology. And after I graduated, the option that was obviously presented and would seem very predictable would be to go and be a clinical psychologist. Nothing about that screamed of like, this is where I need to be. And so what I decided to do is not pressure myself to pursue that path and do something radically different than anybody else in my family has ever done, or anybody else in my community or my circle of friends had done. And so what that was to me was like, I am going to go travel the world. I know that I want to be of service of people. I knew that. I know I love and always have loved working with people. It's always lit me up. So that thing has always been true, but it wasn't in the realm of psychology. It didn't call me. I was like, there's more to supporting humans in a way that just goes beyond the traditional psychological models that we've been given. So what I did is I went and packed a bag. I went to Peru. I went and traveled pretty much all through Central and South America. And I went to Peru and I had this like insane spiritual awakening and in this crazy journey. And I was like, you know what? I want to go into coaching. And at the time, life coaching was not really a thing. Like this was over a decade ago. I was 23, okay? Nobody knew what life coaching was. And the reason I'd heard about it was because I had heard about it from some friends, some people I knew. So I started working with a life coach. And right then and there, I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, I absolutely love this. So at 23 years old, after traveling the world for literally nearly a year, I decided to go back to Canada and train under a woman who I worked with her for a year. And I trained under her. She is an incredible coach. She's super well known. And at the age of 24, I started seeing clients. Can you imagine that? 24. I am 24 years old, and some of the clients that I started working with were in their late 30s and 40s and have gone through this incredible life and all these experiences. While I knew a lot, I knew how to coach them, I too lacked some wisdom. So I coached for a couple of years and I loved it. I worked out of an office. I was like, I look at us online coaches and I was like, I was in the OG. I was like in an office in a chair with the person across from me. It's just so crazy to be like, our work is online. And so I did that for a couple of years and I decided after that, I'm like, I still want to do this, but I need to go out and really find who I am. Like a part of me was searching, I think searching for experiences, searching to get really out of my comfort zone because I knew what I wanted to do. But there was a part of me that was like, I need to go deep in the relationship I have with myself. I know all the tools, I know how to coach people, I've learned all that, but there's way more to life right now than what I'm currently living. So then I decided to pack my bags literally and just book a one-way ticket down back to Peru because that was a place that I just really, really called me. And I got there and I started traveling around Peru. I learned Spanish and I decided that I wanted to really create a business down in Peru. And I created a women's wellness community because I was a life coach. I was also a personal trainer, certified yoga meditation teacher. I'm like, the queens who have all their certifications on the wall, who have done all like yourself, right? Me too. And I was like, I want to bring something in Peru, in Lima, because there were so many expats, but there wasn't an actual community, especially for women. And so I created a community and that I ran that for 3 years. And that was the way in which I made a living. I made pretty decent money. But not only that, I really got to work with women. And it was something that we did every single week. I would lead sessions. We would, do events together. And it was such an incredible part of my life and my work. And it got me in this place of how important it is to really bring people together, to really create communities, to create impact. Some of those women still message me today and be like, you have no idea how important of a role that you played in my life. And all the women that, were part of this movement that I created down in Lima, we're all on a similar journey, right? We're all in a way kind of somewhat soul searching, deepening the connection with ourselves and each other. And then in 2020, I ended up moving to Brazil. I left Peru, moved to Brazil. At this time, I didn't speak Portuguese. I'm like, I have Spanish down, and now I'm going to have to learn a brand new language, and I have to figure something out because at the time, the business that I was running in the Peru just didn't feel aligned for where I just felt like I was being pulled to go. So in 2020, that is when I restarted my coaching business, but this time emerging online and did that for, numerous years. And now I'm, really supporting other women in building and scaling businesses really from their soul's calling and making absurd amounts of money as they go and create incredible impact. And not just this, not just online businesses through a screen, but like work where we get to share that on stages. You write, like you have an incredible book. I think you're, I don't know, maybe writing a second book. I don't know if that's a spoiler alert, but you can edit that out. Um, but you and what you're doing and like the movement that you're creating, right? And like what it actually means to not just be a business mentor, but a thought leader and to take our work in this world not just online, but in person and have it go and reach as far as wide as possible. And it's just so cool to be in the space of working with leaders like yourself and leaders who are just, they're so impact driven. They're here to really create their own path, right? They're here to be industry leaders and go on to really leave a powerful legacy. And their goal and their purpose is like, I want to change as many lives as humanly possible. And that is what drives me. That is what gets me up out of bed and really elevating into the leader that we're here to be, that is able to build what we came here to build. And so it's been, to anybody listening right now, my journey has been anything but traditional. That's for sure. And I've been called a lot of names in my lifetime. And that's okay because it's led me to the path that I'm on. And I love that I've never been somebody that followed what everybody else was doing. I've always been somebody, if everyone's going left, I'm going right, right? If everyone's turning this way, I'm turning the other direction. If everyone's going, to universities and then in the 9 to 5 jobs, I'm like, that does not light my soul on fire. I'm not doing that. And if that means I don't have a plan right now, that's okay because I trust myself to figure it out. And that's what this has always come down to, is a lot about leadership, and what we're here to do is about trust. Trust that you take one step, you're going to be okay. Trust that you're going to make a decision. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but trust that you will be okay. Because if it is on the path of you being in service and the thing that you came here to be, like you will never be veered off track.
Yeah. Oh, you gave me goosebumps with your story and just so much of the trust that you have to listen to the, unwalked path, really. And I put myself back into those shoes. I remember being a 23-year-old graduate. I just graduated grad school and all I wanted to do was move to Thailand and, I guess teach English at the time because I don't know what else to do, right? And the only thing that stopped me is I met my husband and we started a life together basically. And then I buckled down and got the job and started going down the, traditional path of moving your way up in these organizations and stuff, but I never lost that dream. And I kind of wonder what would have happened if I just listened to it then. Would I have started my business much younger or earlier or anything like that? But spoiler alert, obviously, I came back around and still made that all happen for myself and now live that freedom lifestyle. But I just find so interesting how much of like entrepreneurship is tied to that level of trust where it's not going to make sense to anyone else looking at it. Everyone else will think that you're foolish. Everyone else will think that you're, naive or that you're even stupid or, not planning for the future and stuff like that. And then it's like in a decade later, you're the multimillionaire where everyone else is complaining that they have to commute to their 9 to 5 job that they hate. So it's so interesting how that all works out. I'm just curious before we go into, your work of leadership, and I really love that. And, because this journey is not easy. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. Our emotions are on the line all the time. And so even though we're not doing anything physically hard, like I like to joke with my audience that we're just talking and typing. It's really not that hard. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like our emotions go up and down so much with the roller coaster of entrepreneurship and having a business and everything like that. I want to know a little bit more of what it's like to live in Brazil. So that's someplace that you've made home now for 5 years, which is so interesting to me. And it's something that I just find, those people who live in those exotic locations all around the world and how they made a life there. And I'm just curious a little bit about like how that fuels you and just things that you love about living there. Maybe some things you don't love about living there. Just give us the full scoop.
Yeah. Okay. So I always say Brazil, especially Rio, isn't for amateurs. And I really believe you have to be a certain type of person to be able to thrive in a city like Rio, because you've been here and Rio is like a free for all. Like there are no rules, right? And people here live in the moment. They don't plan. And so for me, what I love about Brazil, Rio especially, but it keeps me on my toes. People here are very original. They're crafty. They think on their feet. They're go-getters. Brazilians are really creative in the ways that they sell. And what I love living about here is obviously the culture. I feel like on a day-to-day basis, even though I live here, I'm still a foreigner. I'm not a local. And so I'm always still out of my comfort zone, right? And it's not as easy as, just like getting in your car, there's no traffic, everything's organized, you get to where you need to be on time. It's like it really is a free for all. And you have to really have a high level of self-trust and self-awareness to be able to be in a city like Rio or a country like Brazil and thrive. But I think for us as entrepreneurs, like I don't love being in a place where I'm comfortable all the time. I get bored and I feel a little bit stagnant. I'm somebody that needs a challenge, right? And I feel like living in a country in Brazil where I can speak Portuguese, not like at, a professional level, but I can speak it enough where I feel like even if I just go to the supermarket or do something, like the way my brain has to think to have conversation, like I'm always expanding. And to me, I love places where, what I love about Brazilian culture, you've also been here, but they're so heart-centered. They are so in their energy. They are proud of who they are. They're very liberated people, and that's what I find so interesting about being in Brazil is especially if you go to the beach, you're going to see people of all sizes, all ages, all ages, 80-year-old women like wearing a thong bikini and rocking it proudly. And what I love about that is, there's no body shaming here. There's no shaming. It's like everyone is just so free and happy. And I love that because, coming from a Canadian culture, it's a little bit different, right? And that self-expression I don't think is as accepted as it is here. And I love that. I love that I get to tap into my own part. And I really definitely feel like when I'm in Brazil, I just have this incredible level of confidence because everyone here is so free in themselves, right? And when I go back home, it's a little bit different, right? People talk differently. They're more quiet, they're more reserved, they're more polite. In Brazil, everyone's like loud and they love to hug you if they just meet you. And so it really pushes you out of your comfort zone. Obviously, the other parts of living here is that like you do have to be careful. It isn't the safest place in the world. Luckily, I've been great living here, and you just have to be careful. So that's why I say it's not really for amateurs. It can be a loud city. It definitely can. But Brazil in itself, it has a heartbeat. And I love nature. I love something that's off the beaten path. Everyone loves going to Europe. I love Europe, don't get me wrong. I love Asia, but Brazil is like raw, untouched. There's, it's so biodiverse. You can go to a desert, the Amazon, the beaches. Like there's so many things that you can do here. And every place that I go, the different landscape, the different environment, we get to experience different parts within ourselves, right? And there's always a link between entrepreneurs and feeling a sense of freedom. And feeling a sense of freedom is knowing that like we can travel to really different, unique places. And as we get to do that, it's a mirror to, the different parts of ourselves that we get to uncover in a different environment, And I think for me, it's been great being here because it's such a different country. And I really love it. The people here are so beautiful. I feel at home. And yeah, it's just been an incredible part of my journey. Everyone's like, you live in Brazil, you don't look Brazilian. I'm like, I know I'm not, but it's been incredible to say the least.
Well, it was on my bucket list for more than 5 years, I believe. Like right when I quit my job, I was just like, what's open right now? Brazil is. And I got, all into the research and just the beautiful cities around. And I never really worked out until I found your retreat. And, thank you for bringing me to like the place that's your home now. And, being able to do Brazil together was really, really special. And some of the places we visited, just
Oh my God,
amazing.
that's very
So, something that I think really stands out about your brand is helping people sell high ticket and high level to premium clients. And so, for our entrepreneurs in the audience, I would love to know what really not only positions you to be able to command that niche and that domain of like expertise. It's something you've spoken on stages about multiple times, which I think is so cool. But what also do you think has to happen internally to our identity to be able to even command a high ticket or high level selling process? And I have this especially for lifestyle businesses, because I know sometimes we can think of, okay, how this a business coach would do this or a success coach would do this. But sometimes in those lifestyle niches, how do we also command that ability to sell high level?
high level really is all about, I want to be clear here of what high level really means because people can think many different things when they hear that word. High level means it's highly transformative. What you are bringing through, like your body of work, the transformation that you provide people with is high level. It's not like, somebody pays $100 for a course, they watch one recording, and it's like, woohoo, my life has changed. Like it's deep work. It's highly transformative. And it's highly transformative because one, who you are as an individual, what you had to go through and navigate in your own life to literally turn really difficult things that you've been through, alchemize that and turn it into gold to help other people. It's also the things that you've done and invested in and learned for yourself. And so high level to me really refers to a highly transformative offer, a container where people experience an identity shift, a transformation, something that really changes the trajectory of their life. And it's also something that is a high level of investment for the high level of transformation that they get to experience. And so when I think of high level sales, it's to me, it's an invitation for somebody to change your life in the way in which you know how to help them change it. And so whether it is your, a lifestyle, you're a coach, an alcohol-free coach, you are a relationship coach, your embodiment coach, whatever it is, your work is extremely valuable. And when you start to look at my work is extremely valuable, the transformation, the results that I create for my client are literally out of this world. And you see yourself as a leader who can facilitate such mind-blowing, earth-shattering transformation for your people. And yeah, you charge premium prices for that. And you call in high caliber, dreamy humans to work with. And when I say that, I don't just mean people who have a lot of money or like, I'm just going to throw that. It's not about that, but it is about people who are as invested in the transformation they want as you are. Because we all know, all of you who are listening who are entrepreneurs, I'm sure you've had it, all of us have had it where sometimes the clients who are not the right fit come into our offer, right? And when people come into our world that are maybe not the right fit, they don't get the transformation that we know that they could have if they were the right fit. So it is about calling in a specific level of client that really is looking for that transformation. And so high level sales is your ability to facilitate incredibly highly transformative change in somebody's life. And I want to be a part of a narrative in society where we get to make incredible amounts of money by making that our priority, by following that, by being so impact driven of like, I want to change as many people's lives as deeply and profoundly as humanly possible. And I want to be well paid for that. Why not?
Of course, the dream and the reality that so many of us step into when we truly have that leadership to see it through, the tenacity, the perseverance, and who you have to become to be able to be that person as well. That's a huge part of it. So before we go into that identity piece, you talked about the what, you talked about the why. What is the how? So if, someone's out there, trying to position themselves on their Instagram with their email list, what can you tell like that sets someone apart to be able to really do this really well versus the one that kind of flail?
So when I think of this, I always say this, and I say this with love, but in order to be somebody who can create an incredible offer and deliver this mind-blowing transformation to sell a high ticket offer, whether that's, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30K, whatever the amount is, people have to see you as a leader, right? I'm not going to hire somebody that I have like, oh, cool, they have great vibes, they're relatable, like they're inspiring. Are they inspiring enough to pay 10, 15, 20, 30, $40,000? It's not about that. It is about your ability to see yourself that you have earned your right to do the work that you're doing, first and foremost. You have earned your right to claim how incredible, how phenomenal you are at what you do, and to own it, literally own it, literally own that there's nobody that can do what I can do my way. And sometimes, in order to figure that out, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves. You're going to have to get your hands dirty. You're going to have to get in your business. You're going to have to just like serve and serve and serve to find out what is it that you are really phenomenal at and be very specific about it. And so to me, this is about really getting in the weeds of your business, but being in this place of service and really elevating how you lead yourself. And so the how is when you are creating, a high ticket offer, you aren't just speaking to the results that people get. You're also speaking to what is it that this person desires? What are specific, what we call high value problems that this person has that they want solved, that they would pay 5, 10, 15, $20,000 for? And who is it that this person gets to become as a result of working with me? Because a lot of things that we're taught in the coaching industry is like sell them on the result, but everybody's doing that. Everybody's selling the results. And if you can sell, yes, the result, but you can sell who they get to become as a result of working with you, and then what then becomes possible for that person, and the identity shifts that occur from working with you and the reality that they get to create, being able to articulate that very specifically to the type of person who is a right fit for your work, like you will continuously sign clients. You will continuously sign clients and be able to change your lives and be well paid for it. But it comes down to your ability to know how you change people's lives and your ability to communicate it in ways that are very specific. And for you to get really clear of what is my method, my methodology that I use to facilitate transformation, right? Can I get even more specific than alcohol free or breath work or embodiment? Like, what is my way of being an embodiment coach? What is my way of being a somatic practitioner? What is my way of being an alcohol free coach? Like, because to be known for something, we're always talking about this of like, what do people really want to be known for? What do we as leaders want to be known for? That comes down to the specifics in which you facilitate transformation in a way that nobody else can facilitate transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say to the beginners in the audience who are like, I get this, Stephanie, but I don't have enough experience to either know what that is or to have the even confidence that I'm able to do this yet because I don't have the proof?
Okay, I love this. So if you're a beginner right now and you're listening, do you know what I would do? And some people know this, but I started my business working for free. No shame in saying that. I literally would send people messages that I was engaging with on Instagram, and I would be like, I would love to get on, if you resonate with my work, I'd love to get on a one-on-one call with you. Like, no strings attached. Like, not even like a 15-minute discovery call. It was like a 45 or an hour-long coaching session. And I did that for many different reasons because I knew that I wanted to really sharpen my own tools. And I really wanted to get familiar with how I love to work with people. What is my way? How do you know that if you aren't actually doing the work with people? We don't know that by looking at a Google Doc and being like, I think this is how I do it. No, you need to be in practice. You need to facilitate. You need to get on a call with somebody and just get to work and serve and be of service. And I think a lot of people, when they first start their business, there's this, and I've definitely have called it out and I will continue to call it out of this pride around of like, well, I need to be, charging X amount of dollars first. It's like, no, you need to serve and you need to have clients. And sometimes in order to get clients, you just have to show up and offer a session. Do what you have to do to get on a call with somebody to show them how you can literally change their life. And I think what people do, and I definitely did this as a beginner, is like I would just wait. I'm just going to keep posting every day and I'm just going to keep posting and just hope that somebody reaches out. No, you can go reach out to people. Like you can go invite people in, build a relationship with people. This is what people don't understand. The business that we are in is built on relationships. And if people think that the relationship is always just a one-sided thing, I'm sorry, and I say this with love, you won't be successful because it's not a one-way street. It is totally reciprocal. So if you're a beginner right now and you're listening and you're like, okay, like I'm trying to get the clients, I'm trying to do the thing, go out and build relationships with people. Go send messages to people that are following you. Go and lead a free masterclass or free training and tell the whole world how important it is that they're there and like showcase your work. Do the brave, scary thing that a lot of people are unwilling to do, but you continue to do the brave, scary thing over and over and over again. I know one thing for a fact. Not only will you build the thing you came here to build, but you will do it faster.
Yeah.
We'll do it faster. So just prioritize, how can I be in service right now? When in doubt, how can I be in service right now? That's the only question that you should be asking yourself on a day-to-day basis. How can I be of service? What is a bold, courageous move that I can do right now? Who can I build a relationship with today? Purely out of service, because that's what we're all here to do, is serve.
Yeah. I love that you brought this up. We just had a certification mastermind call the other week. So that's the second part of my certification program is the business mastermind where we train you on how to grow a successful business. And most people are brand new, right? And we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about how we are in the people business and the people like business and the relationship building doesn't start the moment someone pays you with their credit card. It starts way before that. And sometimes we get into our heads of like, oh, I shouldn't have to reach out to anyone or this is awkward or embarrassing or anything like that. And it's like, that's when you're driving the story of what it means about you versus like you say, how can I be of service? How can I help people? How can I be a genuinely caring, supportive person who's rooting people, whether or not they choose to work with me or not, And I think that that has so many benefits down down the line when we think of it that way. And obviously, you can have boundaries around it. And as you keep growing, you're going to start charging and you're going to start elevating your prices and all that kind of stuff. But really having that sense of, how can I truly see and be there for people like the caring coach that I am, not just the moment that, they see me as a leader and they pay me all this money. And I think that's really, really important to see. And I wish I even knew that a little bit more when I started my business because I kind of thought, oh, you're just supposed to send an email and post on Instagram, and the people come flooding to you. And luckily, I kind of learned the hard way about how truly you can build this kind of a business and you can truly serve people. And there's multiple stages of your business too. So you're going to evolve and grow out of certain stages and into new ones where the strategies are definitely different. So let's
Totally.
circle back to leadership because I love how you keep saying, like, to be the kind of person who can even do this high level of selling, you have to see yourself as a leader. And leadership is oftentimes, that one of those buzzwords that we got from management and MBAs and like CEOs type of an idea that it's something that's granted to you. It's some kind of promotion you get or some kind of title you have. Where truly we all can be leaders of our lives, and being a self-led person means that we still feel our emotions, we process them, but at the end of the day, we rise up again and we're able to face our challenges with tenacity and so much warmth and heart and compassion for ourselves, but so much perseverance as well, and truly remembering their deeper why and that sense of impact. So, what does being like a self-led woman look like for you, and how do you help your clients really embody their own sense of leadership?
To me, being a self-led woman means to be extremely an extremely responsible human, a woman who really is living a life in alignment with her value system. That to me is being a leader, is you are living a life that is in alignment with your value system. If your value system is, I want to be of service. If your value system is, I want to be compassionate, kind, I want to be courageous. I want financial freedom. Um, I want to be extremely healthy. I want to work out. I don't want to drink alcohol. Like you have to live in alignment with your value system. And to me, that's the first thing to look. What is your value system right now? And are you living in alignment with that? And to me, it also, people hate this word. I love it, but it is being disciplined. No leader got to where they are, created what they created without discipline. And discipline equals freedom because the more you do, and discipline, when applied in the right area of your life, only leads to freedom, right? Being disciplined with going to the gym, being disciplined with eating the right foods, being disciplined with not consuming alcohol, right? Being disciplined with showing off your clients, being disciplined with selling and posting and doing everything. You continue to apply discipline in your value system, you will create a life of freedom. We do the hard thing to have an easy life. We avoid the hard things, we create a harder life. That's the truth. And so to me, to be a woman who is also self-led, and what a leadership is that when you're a leader, you have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to serve because we have people that we are leading for. We have people that we are taking care of in some form or another. We have people who are looking up to us, who are betting on us, who are being supported and guided by us. And so we have a responsibility. And not everybody can hold what that responsibility comes with because we all know this, it's not always easy, right? But it is leading from this place of our personal power with what we were brought here to do and being the woman that goes first, that has the courage to walk the path that she's here to walk, that's in service to others, that's here to be deeply compassionate and yet deeply deeply immersed in the culture and the community that she's here to create. And I think really being a leader, I mean, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. It's not because we as leaders have to be, I always say this, but we have to be a rock solid human. And that's why those who are really in the realm of personal development and really do that internal work, they go on to create success because it's easy to lead yourself when clients are coming in. It's easy to lead yourself when sales are coming in. It's easy to lead yourself when the launches are amazing. When things are going your way, it's freaking easy to lead yourself. I'm on fire. Life is incredible. And then when it's not, and you're thrown a curveball. And maybe people aren't joining. Maybe you reached out to clients and they're like, I don't want to work with you, or clients leave, or you had a launch and you thought it was going to go amazing and it didn't. That is actually where you are tested as a leader. And you either make that mean something about you or you don't. And you pursue for the long-term vision. And so it's not being pulled in through this short-term gratification or these short-term wins. Leaders always have the long-term vision in mind. That's the only thing that they move for. So if they're plugged into the long-term vision, and all of you here listening, I don't care where you are in your business, if you just started today, you know, or if you made, in my opinion, the best friggin' decision ever and joined your certification, where you're not only learning the tools to be a coach, which is all about being a leader, you have to have the tools. You have to know how to facilitate transformation, right? And then get the business, actual business acumen and business mastermind to actually learn what it takes to build a business. Like, you do that, you're well on your way. And you move for the long-term vision, because when the small things happen, when people don't join, they don't sign up, or you have an income dip, or you have a moment where you doubt yourself, or you go and post something and, Susie Q has something to say about it, it doesn't rock you. It doesn't rock you, because you are connected to the thing that you're building in the future. And you imagine of like, you're doing this for your lifetime, right? I don't believe in retirement when we're in our soul's purpose. I'm like, I'm not going to be 60 being like, I'm all done. I'm like, I'm going to be doing this shit. I'm going to be doing this in my deathbed, but I go into the future and I see myself that, and, all of us who've created this remarkable body of work that's just transformed the lives of so many humans. And you think Susie Q's opinion matters, or so and so that didn't join your offer, you're like, I don't care. I've got so many lives to change. That does not rock me, because you are connected to what you've already created in the future, and you are leading from that place. Leadership isn't leading from this present version of yourself. In my opinion, leadership is you moving in the future, envisioning what you've already created, and deciding that you are just going to be that version of you now. Simple as that. It doesn't have to be that complicated. And any of you listening, I don't care where you are in your business, but you can close your eyes and you can feel into the vision that you're here to create, the impact that you're here to create, go as far into the future in a timeline where you're like, this would be a dream. I would love to be on stages. I would love to write a book. I'd love to lead retreats and live events. I'd love to have thousands of people in my program. I'd love to have a mastermind. I'd love to have VIP weekends. Like, that's what I want. I want to have a stadium full of people screaming my name and being like, you changed my life, and people crying, being like, I don't know where or who I would be without you. That's what I see for myself. That's what I've created in the future. If you can see it, then you can literally be that version of you right now, here in the present moment, because it's already done. It already exists in a timeline. And it's really hard to not feel powerful when you think like that. And if somebody doesn't join your program, you're like, cool, thousands more are coming. I'm not going to let that one person throw me off course, or that one client who isn't happy. Like, there are thousands more coming. I see them all. Those are the people that I'm moving for. That's what I'm moving for. You move for that, you will only then create that outcome. There is no outcome that you'll create other than the one that you continuously focus on and the one that you continuously move for. And you think like that, you're a leader. You already are.
Well, folks, that is why Stephanie is my coach. I love to adore you. Yeah, I could listen to you all day. And, these are the pep talks that I need sometimes through my business. And we don't do this alone. And this is why we surround ourselves with other leaders and other high-powered women who remind us of our power. Because yes, there are those moments where Susie Q is going to make you forget and make you crumble and make you get triggered and all that kind of stuff. And we need women around us, the community around us like this, to lift us back up to truly the power and the platform that we're here to create. And it almost makes me nostalgic, because I remember when I was writing my first book. Yes, the audience knows I'm writing a second.
Okay, good.
I
I'm
I
like, oh man,
remember
cut that out.
I remember thinking of this reader. Then she was on the subway in New York and she was in her late 20s. And every single time it was hard, or I had writer's block, or I didn't feel like writing, or all the little, trials and tribulations that come up with the process, I just visualized her and I just connected with her. And I saw so many of her all around the nation and all around the world. And That is the deepest thing ever. Then it's so much deeper than seeing even your name plastered on a book or anything else like that. It's like that is the deepest thing that can move us as humans when you make that level of impact and that vision your reality. And the only reason you can see it is because it's entered your conscious mind and out of your subconscious. And that's already scientific proof that you were meant to create that reality. Otherwise, you wouldn't even think it, you know?
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
as someone who has been such an international world traveler, like there's people out there with a bazillion different paradigms, a bazillion different goals and viewpoints and what they want to create out of their life. And the things that we want don't even exist for them sometimes, right? It is not in their reality. And that is such a proof that you are meant to create that, or else you wouldn't even want it and be able to see it so crystal clearly in your mind. So I'm
Yeah.
going to close off this episode, or else we would go on forever. But I have one more really important question for you, Stephanie. So you are a woman who has made alcohol elegantly irrelevant in her life. And I'm so curious kind of how that process worked for you, what kind of mindset shifts you went after, and what's kind of resulted in your life as alcohol has become smaller and your power has just grown more and more.
Mm, I love this because my story with alcohol is not, I've been the type of person where I don't love drinking or getting drunk, or getting tipsy. I never really cared for it. But I was the person that would have a drink once a week. Maybe I'd go out and have a drink with a couple of friends. But what became clear and what I realized, especially as an entrepreneur, is time and energy are the most important things. State, because from state we create, right? From state we sell, we post, we create messaging, we create offers. And I know that when I have alcohol, it changes my state. I know that. The next day I feel it. And something that I was talking about with a couple of people, because I was talking about this recently, of they're like, oh, you don't drink in Brazil. Let me tell you, everybody drinks. I am like, I'm telling you, people are like, are you sure you don't want anything? And they think I'm pregnant. And I'm like, no, not pregnant. I just don't drink. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, I don't feel the need. Do you know why? Because my life is so fulfilled. I have such a fulfilling life, and I have such a fulfilling life because I'm so blissfully content with what I've created, the impact that I have. I'm like, there's nothing that could be more fulfilling than that. No substance, nothing. And if anything, it's only going to drain me and take me out of what I'm here to create. And so, something that I've noticed is all the entrepreneurs that I surround myself with, especially the ones like yourself, who are like creating not just businesses, but literally empires, they're not drinking alcohol. And to me, I began to see it, and I really stopped drinking alcohol like cold, probably back in just before July. And in July and prior to that, I was maybe having a drink a month. So I just decided, like, okay, I don't even need it anymore. Like, it's not doing anything. It's not bringing anything of value to my life. And so to me, what I actually think that it does is that it just makes you clearer and sharper. And that is so important as an entrepreneur, because you realize your energy, your state are really the things that create the impact. And then as a byproduct of that, create the wealth. And so to me, when your life is so fulfilling, you are in your purpose, and you say no to the things that kind of mess up your energy and how you think, you go so much faster. You operate at faster speeds. The conversations, the people that you surround yourself they're just different. It's just, you're at such a high frequency that you don't need alcohol. It just lowers the vibration. And if I need alcohol, I always say this, if I need alcohol to enjoy myself, I'm with the wrong people. Like, when we were at our retreat in Brazil, I'm like, it's a no alcohol retreat. Like, I was up until 1 or 2 in the morning with some of the girls talking. I'm like, I could be talking until 5 in the morning. Like, because the energy and the quality of the conversation and the humans that I'm surrounding myself with, because I've just been so immersed in my life's work and my purpose, that I don't need any of that. And if anything, it just is a distraction, and we don't want to be distracted. And I love what you do, because this alcohol-free movement is just, to me, it's also had a personal imprint in my life. And I'm telling you, it's shifted the way that I show up. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you're considering letting it go, like, just why not? Like, you will be just so more entrenched in your work, and it will only get richer and richer, in the sense of like, oh, like, I love waking up and supporting my clients and supporting you and the incredible women that I work with. I'm like, nothing can beat that. So why?
Yeah. Like, what's the point even, right? I love it
It's
so
like,
much.
what? it's the point. I just is that conversation. I'm like, what is the point? What is the point? And I chatted with somebody who, I know that they're trying to slow down their drinking. And I'm telling you, I'm like, I promise you, when you really allow yourself to find what fulfills you, you won't need it because your life will be so fulfilling that it's like, I have everything I need. I don't need anything more.
Yeah. I would say that is like the bedrock philosophy of everything I do. I've always started my career helping people not just, give themselves the space from alcohol, but then in that space find what is the most fulfilling thing in their lives and their purpose on this planet and what they came here to do. Because once you find that, alcohol is like this little silly little trite thing in your rearview window, whereas you have found like the big omega of what you're really here for, and that fulfills you, and that gives you such a sense of contentment that that little buzz is nothing compared to. And it's so interesting how you use the word distraction. So I keep this running list of just top most successful entrepreneurs, leaders, millionaires, billionaires who don't drink. I don't usually do it with celebrities because I'm not as like a fangirl of celebrity culture, maybe
Yeah,
more so,
nice.
more so like entrepreneurs and stuff. And I just learned that Benjamin Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy, author of
Oh
10x is
my
easier than
gosh.
2x, he doesn't drink. And his reasoning was like, I just made a decision to completely not do it because it's a distraction. I don't see how it could possibly add anything good into my life when I have this big mission of impact. And it was just such a clean, elegant, my mind doesn't even go there. I don't even think about it, just exit out. And I just love that, reasoning. And so many other leaders I respect have their own different kind of versions of that same reasoning. But another win for the alcohol-free movement right there.
Totally. And like his books are amazing. I'm reading The Gap
Yeah.
in the Game now, and I'm like, it's so good. And it's true. It just becomes the thing that distracts you. And then when you start to realize of like the impact that we're here to have, we can't afford to be distracted. Like we can't afford to have things veer us off our path. We just can't afford to, because the cost of that is you not showing up, and then you not showing up especially potently or, boldly in the way that you're supposed to. That might be one less human that doesn't get to experience your work. And what a shame that is.
Absolutely. Well, Stephanie, this is such a good conversation. I could go on forever, but let us close off. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Stephanie Ann Swale. And if you've loved this podcast, I'd love to hear from you. And, for anybody listening right now, and I'm saying this with a lot of um honesty and discernment, because I've been around a lot of coaches. I'm also somebody that's done a lot of certifications. And I want to speak to something really quickly to anybody who is listening right now and you want to be a coach, or you are a coach and you want to like brush up on your skill set. What you've created, your certification is seriously, it is world renowned. And I can say that. I can say that and I can back that. And I just want to say that because what I love to see is people actually having the tools and the skill set to be able to facilitate incredible transformation so that you can create something that is from your soul's calling and know how to do it well, and then actually learn what it takes to build a business. Because I am one of these people that worked with a coach 100%. But what I didn't learn was how to build a business. I had to learn that the hard way, which was a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying things and failing, and of wasting money. And honestly, if I could rewind and take a certification and I would have met you then and you had it, I would have taken it. It would have been a no-brainer. And I say this because I'm also a coach and I want to see more well-equipped coaches who really know how to work with humans, because you're dealing with somebody's life. It is a serious thing and we have to take it as a responsibility. And so the certification that you've created, like I tell people about it because I'm like, there's nothing else like it. And the fact, the community that you've created, the retreat, I'm like, this is incredible. So if you're listening, whether, I'm not sure when you're listening and if the wait list is open, or she's taking other people into the certification, please do yourself a favor and do it. Even if you have a certification and you feel like you need to brush up on your tools, it's so important, because it is, yes, your reputation on the line, but it is your ability to be even more well paid, because the tools and the skill set that you have is so much more robust. And because of that, you really get to change people in a really unique, incredible way and be well paid. So just do yourself a favor and join it, because there is nothing else like that. And I can say that from somebody that's in the coaching industry that has seen a lot of certifications. So I'm just going to say that because it's important. And I'm also a prior life coach. And so to me, it's important that we have more, coaches that are really in integrity and know how to do this work and work with humans and their precious lives and change the world and also learn how to build a business from it, a successful business, right?
Well, I think this one thing that comes up sometimes is people asking on the outside, is this really plausible? Is this something that could make real money? And you and I live in a completely alternate world where, this isn't some struggling life coaching business that you build on the
Mm,
side. Maybe it starts like that, obviously, but it is truly an empire that you build. You're building a legacy. You're building so much impact, so much lives that will be changed. And this is our normal, right? We surround ourselves with women who have made this our normal, who are making more in a month than they used to make all year, and
yeah.
who are building such legacies across the world, writing books, getting on stages. This world exists. It is definitely possible. It is something that if you even have the slightest, hint of a visualization or a dream that that's where your life is heading, and that's why you've gone through all the things you've gone through and changed your relationship with alcohol and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just so important to honor that vision. There's nothing more that we can do more sacred. That self-trust is also honoring our own visions like that. So, Stephanie, thank you. You are the best pep talk person I've ever had on. Like, I could re-listen to this when I'm in like a hard, challenging moment and just go back to this episode. But I just appreciate you so much. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thank you for really leading the movement that you're here to create because, like, you are really one in 8 billion. And so I'm just so honored to be doing this work and supporting you and seeing what you've created and what a blessing it is to be in your world.
Thank you.